Now it's time for Straight on the Point with Jesse T from some undisclosed location somewhere in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Jesse T.
Oh, I can go now? Thank you very much. Well, yes, it's just a little bit after 5 o'clock on the Pacific Coast in Southern California. That's right, it's me, Jesse Terrero. It's time for the Jesse T Show. Hey, what's up? Good to have you back with me on a Monday afternoon. The weather is getting so good here in Los Angeles and California, guys. And if you're on the East Coast or anywhere else, they're still having tornadoes, terrible tornadoes up there through the Midwest right now. It was a big storm that came in and kind of went in an area that they weren't expecting a storm. In fact, the storm hadn't hit in those areas, that kind of storm, in a long, long time. So a lot of people were caught by surprise. But here in Southern California, wow, it is starting to get to be summer. I think it was 91 degrees in some parts of the Los Angeles County region today. Blue, blue, blue. I'm blue skies. That's right, like my blue mic right here. It is absolutely gorgeous. The Pacific Ocean this weekend was beautiful. We got snow on the snow-capped mountains. This is the only place in the world, or certainly one of the very few, where you can go early morning Saturday, get up around the crack of dawn and go up and do some snow skiing up there on the mountains, and make sure you have your surfboard on top the rack of the car or the truck, and then drive down to Zuma or Malibu and do some surfing by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, this is just paradise. The problem is there's people here. There's too many humans, as the Ferengi used to say from DS9. Humans. I smell. Humans smell. I have to speed up the show, so I'm going to be speaking very fast here real quick. So I've got to cut some moments out because we got on a little bit late due to some technical difficulties here on the Jesse T Show. That's okay. It ends up at the end of the day with always a few difficulties. It's sort of like the dam builds up the water pressure behind, and by the time I get in here, it kind of squeaks out in the most unobvious places sometimes. But that's all right. Sometimes I'm the cause of it. Sometimes those little gremlins in the board of operations is the cause of it, those little gremlins. Yeah. You know, my 84-year-old dad has got mice in his house, and he's been killing mice every day for a week, and he calls me up every time he kills a mouse. So I tell him, Dad, yeah, hey, you are the mice hunter. He's got the whole camouflage on in the middle of the night because he doesn't sleep. That's what happens to a lot of older folks. They stay up later and they sleep more during the day. And so he's all camoed out. You know, he's sitting there with his mousetrap guns, and it's amazing. He's got his little pellet gun there, and he's got mousetraps everywhere. Can you imagine this 84-year-old guy in the dim hours of the night at 2 o'clock in the morning or 4? He's sitting there in the kitchen listening closely for the mice that are about to eat the peanut butter or the cheese on the traps. And when they snap, he opens them up and drills them with about 14 shots of his pellet gun at point blank range. Oh. Those mice don't have a chance against the old timer. That's the original Jesse T right there. That's Grandpa T. Don't mess with the grandpa. No. Anyhow, but it's a beautiful day, and it's good to have you along with us. Of course, download the free app because we want you to see more of me, Jesse T. I'm being egotistical and vain today because it's Vain Monday. Yes, that's what we're calling it. We're changing it from Monday Mayhem to Vain Monday. Martin Higuera is checking in with us. My compadre, my brother. That's right. My brother, baby. Martin Higuera, man. Hey, thanks a lot, man. Loving your post-ups, like all that stuff we talk about. Thanks all for checking in. Jeff Langton. Yes, my brother from another mother, but he's really my brother because I don't have any brothers. I don't have any sisters. I don't have any cousins. I don't have any nieces or nephews. I don't have any grandparents. My mom passed away. You feel for me? I feel you feeling for me. Ooh, thank you very much. Don't pinch me there. Yes, saying hi to Quincy Jones Jr., who has us on, and our condolences to you, and our prayers go out to you, my friend. And also Charles R. Young and our Instagram people at Beach Mantis, Mark Hoadley. Hey, Mark, what's happening, buddy? Mark was in here for an interview we had the other day. What a great time a couple of weeks ago. You can still archive that up on YouTube Live and The Power of Voices or thepowerofvoices.com and aventertainmentlive.com. And we're here all the time, and we're there live right now on facebook.com/Jesse Terrero, Straight on the Point, and The Power of Voices, as well as Instagram Live, Jesse Terrero, saying hi to AJ Salias at 47, and Networker. Oh, Networker on Wheels. What's happening, my friend? Good to have you along. Jerry O'Brien is checking in way up north. Way up there yonder north. What a great guy, man. He does a lot of work with people who are bound in wheelchairs. He does a lot of terrific work. Someone counting out gaps. Okay, yes, thank you. That was my new gibberish talk. I'm creating a new language, like a new party to politically get involved in. It's called the I-TIP party. Not the U-TIP party, not the T-TIP party, but T-TIP sounds pretty good. I-TIP party. And you know what it is? It's Individual Thinkers Independent Party. And I like that. Individual Thinkers Independent Party. And Richard Dreyfuss is going to be an honorary member, and here's why. He was on Tucker's show the other night, and he was talking about this idea that people don't get enough civics training and education in our school system today. And I agree with him. They do not get enough civics education because that ended in the 1970s. I was in school, and I remember when they stopped pulling that. They pulled that out of LAUSD. That's when LAUSD kind of went awry in the whole decade of the late part of the 1970s. And they took civics right out of the education in the classroom. And civics basically taught us about government and how our country and our states and our local government, municipalities, how all of that works. And that's what civics basically did in terms of that. But they took it out, and now nobody seems to know anything. And Richard Dreyfuss is on a very big trek right now to teach civics so that we can have a new generation of thinking people. And that's how he put it. It's a great interview that Tucker Carlson did with Richard Dreyfuss a couple of nights ago. You got to check it out. I did post it up on my Facebook site because it really goes to the heart of the matter of understanding how the United States government works, thereby appreciating how the government works, and thereby being honored by being an American, either being born here or becoming a citizen here in the United States of America. Because, look, it is the greatest place on the planet Earth and God's blue-green earth to live. That's for sure. And since we are talking about civics a little bit, I wanted to mention this thing that I heard about. I was listening earlier to the Lee Michaels program. It's plugged in right there. Is it not working? It's picking it up through there, so it's not working. Okay, we'll figure that out at some point. So I might as well just you can hear me fine because I'm like, yeah, we'll figure out why that one doesn't work. You see, the gremlins are attacking again. I need to get the mice hunter out here, and I have to put him to work. That's right. He'll be hanging out here all night, camouflaged. Grandpa T. Yeah, man. He is like the supreme killer of mice. Oh, scary. Saying hi to Angela Capri, always a thinker, Jesse. Hey, what's happening, Angela? Hey, you're having a good time on the set. I saw some of those pictures you posted up. Hey, whatever you guys are doing, let us know what you're up to and what you're into and what you got promoting or whatever. We'd love to talk about it. And we definitely will push out the good things and push away the bad things. And who determines whether it's a good thing or a bad thing? Me, Jesse JCT. That's right. It's the Brown Beauty on duty, on the air and everywhere, from the community to the world. And we were talking about civics, so I wanted to talk about this topic that real quickly that was on the Lee Michaels show earlier this morning from 10 to 12. That's right, the beautiful voice of Lee Michael. He actually has his own show here Monday through Friday from 10 to 12, and I close out the afternoon from 5 to 6 here on the Power of Voices and AVTV Live, the digital broadcasting TV network. And so I'm going to bring this thing up. We were talking about an NFL player who just got signed by Chicago, I believe it was, and the reporter asked him, hey, what are you going to do with your money? Remember those Disneyland commercials? So what are you going to do now? And they were all paid, well, I'm going to Disneyland. Remember all that stuff? Well, they asked this guy who got just signed up with the Chicago Bears football team, NFL. You know, those guys make a ton of money. Even the rookies that are signed out of the draft, they make a ton of money. So they asked him, what are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to buy an AR-15. Now, the topic of conversation this morning on the morning show led to the idea that these guys really need to be trained up on how they have to discuss things with the media, how they should present themselves to the media, sort of like Bull Durham was with Kevin Costner. What a terrific film that was, where he had the young rookie pitcher and he had to teach him what to say when he was being interviewed, and finally the young rookie pitcher learned, and he said all the cliche things and the right things to say. Well, that was sort of that concept of topic of conversation that came up today. I was going to chime in, but it got sidetracked. I posted up some things there about that. But my idea on that was, you know, maybe the guy isn't so stupid. Maybe he didn't put a big apple in his mouth or his foot in his mouth, or he didn't bite his first knuckle. Maybe he actually was smart enough to say, I'm going to Chicago. I'm making all this money. I'm going to become a public figure, visible. I think I'm going to have an AR-15 by my side. I don't know. I'm just saying now. I don't know. But I think it might be that way instead of the other way, because I'll tell you this. I was born in Chicago, more or less raised out here, California boy. But I was raised in my house the Chicago way. And I don't know. Chicago is an awful dangerous place. My daughter flew to Chicago, just happened, got off in O'Hare Airport, went to downtown Chicago, got in her motel because she was going to meet with the Chicago Red Stars. You know, she's a professional soccer player, my daughter is, and they asked her to come there and to discuss some business about playing for them. And she's a goalie, one of the best, Ryan Torero. You can check her out online, Facebook, Instagram. Anyway, she's a pro, played in Europe, and so she gets out of O'Hare Airport. She gets a taxi to the what's called the Monument Park in Chicago. That's like the Rodeo Avenue of Chicago. It's where all the tourists go and all the very wealthy people hang out, and all the big mansions that surround that part of the inner city, all the best shopping, all the best of the best are there. And she gets in her hotel room, goes downstairs, meets her friend. She has a couple things at Starbucks or whatever. Her friend had to go to work, so she's kind of hanging out there, and somebody steals her purse. This is her first day. So there's a lot to say about the reality of the crime situation in Chicago. It's real. We as a family have a first experience at this now. So that guy, maybe, just maybe, he was an ITIP member. That's right. An independent, an individual thinking, an individual thinker, independent party member. He was thinking, man, I'm going to get all this money. Now my mug is all over everywhere because I'm a public figure. I'm playing NFL football now. And, I better have some protection. What's that old cliche? It's better to be judged by 12, then buried by 6. So, maybe, just maybe, he was exercising his Second Amendment. What is the Second Amendment? Time for your civics lesson. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution is simple. Protects the rights of the people to keep and bear arms, and was adopted on December 15th, 1791 as part of the first 10 amendments contained in the Bill of Rights. Now, the Supreme Court of the United States of America has ruled the rights belong to individuals. That's why the ITIP party, right? Individual thinkers, independent party members. Yes. While also ruling that the right is not limited and does not prohibit all regulation of either firearms or similar devices, state and local governments are limited to the same extent as the federal government from infringing this right per the incorporation of the Bill of Rights. And the Second Amendment was based partially on the right to keep and bear arms in English common law and was influenced by the English Bill of Rights of 1689 by Sir William Blackstone, described this right as an auxiliary right supporting the natural rights of self-defense, resistance to oppression, and the civic duty to act in concert in defense of the state and the individual. In the United States versus Cruikshank in 1876, the Supreme Court of the United States ruled that the right to bear arms is not granted by the Constitution, neither is any manner dependent upon the instrument for its existence, and limited the applicability of the Second Amendment to the federal government. But in the United States versus Miller, in 1939, the Supreme Court ruled that the federal government and the states could limit any weapons type of having a reasonable relationship to the preservation of the efficiency of a well-regulated militia. In other words, you can't have a bazooka, and the cities can and the states can argue against that. Okay? But you are guaranteed an inalienable right to bear arms, and maybe this guy is just exercising his Second Amendment. I think he was just exercising some intelligence here, especially in Chicago. So, yeah, think twice. Think twice when you go to Chicago. We got to protect ourselves in this nation now. All the bad guys always get weapons, guys. They don't care about the laws and the rules and the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. They always have weapons. The bad guys are always armed. Always remember that. Even a 10-year-old bad guy is armed these days. So, why can't we bear arms? In fact, this is my philosophy as you enter the world according to Torero, and it's really simple. If you have a right to drive an automobile and have a right to drink liquor and now have a right to smoke pot for recreational use across this country in 28 or 30 states now, right? Then you should be able to be responsible enough to have a firearm at the same age, okay? As long as you are vetted, super vetted, so you're not some psychopath, crazy, idiot, maniacal nutcase, or you have a past record, a felony, criminal act, even a misdemeanor, okay? And that you take training courses so you learn how to shoot and learn how to shoot at what, and how to learn how to shoot at what you shouldn't be shooting at. And those courses should be continuous education on a regular basis, every couple of years when your license needs to be renewed. And then, right, you have to learn how to take care of your weapon, keep it healthy and safe by cleaning it and taking it apart, just like they do in the military, right? This is your gun, and your gun is you, and you are not your gun, and your gun isn't you. This is what you have to defend yourself. You're nothing without us. You better keep it in good shape. So we have to learn how to keep and maintain our weapons. That's another part of what I believe. And then everybody should be allowed to have carry permits, whether it's open carry or whether it's concealed carry. It doesn't matter, but the right to carry, because the bad guys always have weapons. And especially in the states where they know that the good guys can't have any, like Chicago, and here in Los Angeles too, because we're a sanctuary city. Well, the bad guys know that they got one up on you, especially when they're trying to do something to you. The likelihood of you having a weapon is greater that you won't have a weapon than have a weapon in a place that you can't have a weapon. Because you see, most Americans are law-abiding citizens, and they will abide by the law of the land where they live. State, city, the community they live in. So like in Chicago, nobody can defend themselves the way the bad guys can shoot at them. So just maybe this guy had his head screwed on right. And he is an individual thinker, an independent party member, an ITIP party, the party according to Torero. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't go out of the house without it. And I'll relay a story to you. So everybody knows I'm training hard for a December run in 2017, a Spartan Warrior race, a 5-mile race in Castaic, Valencia. Okay? The dam over there. That damn dam. Right? I'm going to be racing in that. And it's an obstacle course too. Now my son is an elite pro, and he's going to Colorado next weekend to race in a 8-mile run. So I'm going to do my first one, my 5-mile run, here at the end of December, and I'm training hard all year long for it because I need to. I'm not in the kind of shape that I was when I was 36, though I'm in very good shape and I maintain my health. I still need to make sure that I am in extreme health and extreme condition so I can finish that race as I started it, and that's running it, not walking it, not, la-di-da. So I'm up training every day of the week with 1 day a week rest. And on Saturday, sometimes I'll post up things that I'm doing, and you can check that out on Facebook.com/Jesse Torero. On Saturday, I happened to be running on this mountain. I went to this area where there's mountains and deserts. And so Saturday, after I worked out in the gym, and I did chest and shoulders, 4 exercises for chest, and 5 exercises for shoulders. I did my core, my abs, and my neck. I then went out and did my cardio. And I ran on this mountain, up this trail, and it starts off sort of like this. If you could see my hand, for those of you who are watching, for those of you who are listening, it starts off at a slow kind of grade and then goes almost vertical to literally almost a perfect triangle, 45-degree, maybe 60-degree grade. Gets so steep at the top of this 1,000-foot hill or so that you have to bear crawl it up like you're crawling it. You can't run it straight up and vertical because you'll fall over. So it's almost like you're climbing the last 200 feet or 100 feet or so. Then it tapers off and goes at about a 25-degree incline all the way to the big power towers that are way up on top, maybe about another 5 to 7 or 800 feet. Now, I don't get there. I'm about 3/4 now. I got as far as I've ever gotten this Saturday on this mountain ridge. I'm about 3/4 of the way up the first 1,000 feet. Now, I'm huffing. I'm like my legs are blowing up with pain. The acid buildup in my legs is just building up, and I'm breathing hard. I'm breathing through my nose. I'm breathing heavy, and I get about halfway up my 3/4 without stopping. And then the other half of my 3/4, which isn't quite the top of the mountain, I'm stopping 4 or 5 times because my toes hurt. I'm blowing up in pain and my breath and all this. Now I get up there and as I start to fall forward on the bear crawl, because what's happening, it's getting so steep, I hear this screaming, this loud female scream. Now my heart's pounding, my lungs are expanding. I'm sucking up the pain. It's all mental, I'm just like getting over this mental bridge, right? And so I hear this woman screaming. I mean, at the top of her lungs. Now, I haven't heard that in a long time in a public area. And she's screaming like she's like you're watching a horror film, and you got the giant sound system in your house. It's a horrendous scream. So I kind of turn around and kind of fall on my butt because it's so steep. And I'm looking around for this woman screaming because there's nobody here. And so at the base where I started, where my car was, the Gray Ghost, there's a dirt road there where I parked, and then I started my ascension up this running path. Well, it's actually not a path. It's straight up the ridge of the mountain. And then there's an asphalt road, a country asphalt road that kind of goes, meanders along about 4 or 5 miles and past a vineyard and past some really cool ranches and farms down yonder from where I'm at, about a mile and a half. And what I do is I run up that mountain, I turn around and I run down it without falling down too many times. And then I hit that asphalt and I run for a mile. Then I come back and I hit another trail up to this point, which is about another mile and a half up to this other trail. Then I come back. Now, I'm not doing all that, but that's my first major kind of topography course getting ready for the Spartan race. So I turn around, I follow my keister, and I'm looking at, where's this woman screaming? So I look out past this asphalt road. Then there's a gully that's cut because that's where the train goes through, and it kind of goes down into this gully that was cut underneath the freeway, which is on the other side of where this screaming is coming from. And you can't see this road that is adjacent to the other side of the railroad tracks going through this gully on the other side. You can't see this dirt road from the freeway or the freeway off-ramp. Okay? You can't see it. It's totally blocked. So there's this white car there, and there's this guy chasing this woman around his car. He's tackling this woman against the side of his car and beating her up. So now I'm way up here on the top of this mountain, and I'm saying, I didn't have my glasses on. And so I'm trying to make this out. So I'm looking at it, and I get my phone out, because sometimes you can make it bigger on your phone. The camera can kind of zoom in a little bit. That didn't work. Then my phone went dead. Right, and my Note 4 battery, I just bought a new battery for it. Anyway, so I'm sitting there looking at this spectacle happen. I mean, she gets away from him, falls on the asphalt, and runs a little bit down. He gets in his car, speeds off the opposite direction, goes down on the freeway. I see him go on the freeway, and then all of a sudden, she's standing there, and I'm saying to myself, man, go hide in the bushes. Do something. Keep going. Keep running down that road till it gets back up on the visible side of the freeway. What are you doing? And now finally, this guy comes back, and he almost runs her over. She dodges the car. He runs her over, swishes around a 360 around her, gets out of the car, tackles her again. Now she's punching and swinging, and I am a good, I would say, maybe mile away. I'm definitely 3/4 of a mile away. And for me to get to her in time, for me to get there, I got to come down this hill, this mountain, jump in the car, drive like 2 miles the opposite direction, because that's how long it takes me to get to this spot, and then go all the way, and then come back a couple of miles the other way to get back around where they're at. So that's about a 4 or 5 mile run. So you're looking at about, 15 minutes for me to get down this dirt road on the Gray Ghost? And it's not a smooth dirt road. It's filled full of holes and rocks. So it's not like I have my M35A2 Deuce that I'm driving. No, that's a military vehicle, by the way, that I own. Anyway, so I say, okay, what can I do? So I think, okay, I'm going to go down to the car and I'm going to get my firearm. Okay? Because I never leave home without it. I got a license and all that stuff. I mean, I'm licensed and all that stuff, okay? It's no problem. I'm legal. I'm trained. All right? So it's not an issue. I'm thinking, but I don't have the right firearm. I got a pistol. And to hit that mark anywhere near there, you need a rifle. And I don't have that with me. The AR-15 would have been able to do it, but, I'm too far away. So I thought, well, I'll get my firearm and I'll pop off a couple of rounds in the ground so he hears it, and I'll wave it in the air so he sees me. So I get down to the car, I get down to my gray Ghost, and by that time now, he takes off again. So I thought, all right. She starts walking towards the area where the dirt road comes out and then comes out visible to the main highway and the freeway. So I take a right, and instead of doing the firearm thing, I get in my car and I run all the way down about a half a mile, 3/4 of a click where she's at, and I yell at her and scream at her, and I go to this house that there's a vineyard at, and I knock on the door and had them call 911 because my phone went dead. Now, by this time, she gets up on the main highway, lots of visible traffic, lots of traffic. This guy disappears. He never comes back. Okay. I finish my run. I get back in the car. I post up a little something. Then I make my way back all the way down the road, then all the way back up the road, and then around to where they were at. She's got it's a torn blouse there. I mean, it's the whole 9 yards. And then I get up on the main highway, and she's nowhere to be found, and near there's a car. So that's what happened on Saturday. I'm thankful I had an ability to have and exercise my right on the Second Amendment, because had I had to go over there, I would have at least had a weapon that I could subdue the assailant until the sheriffs showed up. Of course, they would have arrested me and took my firearm, and I would have lost the firearm for a long time, because that's what they do in California. Once they get your firearm, whether you fired it or not, even if you have a license for it, a CCW or anything, they still will take it from you. It's just what they do. Then you never get it back. But at least I could have done something against a bad guy beating up a woman. Well, thankfully, she got away. But that's what we're talking about here. We live in a very dangerous society. We live in a very violent society. A generation and a half of people grow up with a very, very thick skin when it comes to death, violence, pain. They have been raised on these games, Grand Theft Auto, and all these war and chop 'em up and shoot 'em up games that are almost real life. The computerization and the graphics on these things is real life almost. It's like watching an actor. Horrendous things. We have a society that's been desensitized to violence, sex, profanity, pornography in our system today. We have a society of youth that have grown up thinking that they should be acting a certain way because no one's taught them how to be a man or a woman. And so they give it up or they beat it up without any ideas of that's wrong. We have a society that is very permissible and very perverted and very dangerous, especially in the urban cities, especially in the cities. And we have a society that has really a lessened lack of morals and ethics and honor and doing the right for the right's sake today. Now, if that's not a prescription for you being attacked someday when you're with a loved one or by yourself, by a bad guy or bad girl that doesn't care whether they kill you or not, then you must be living in some fantasy friggin' land. And thank God Almighty that we have a Second Amendment. But in California, they don't want you exercise it. That's going to change. Watch. It will. Bad guys have got to go. Bad guys cannot win. Bad people have got to suffer the pain of the type of pain that they dish out. They don't deserve a second chance, compassion, empathy, or humanity. When you hurt somebody else and you take from somebody else, you don't deserve a right, as far as I'm concerned. Your rights have been given up by your actions. And if it means we got to put you down like a dirty rabid dog, then that's what we got to do. And that's the world according to Torero. You're straight on the point. I'm straight on the point. I love individual thinkers. Independent party. ITIP. That's what it's all about. So I wanted to address that because I thought it was an interesting topic that they brought up this morning, and I wanted to take a moment and talk about that. So, of course, today is May Day. And yes, it's a Russian communist thing but it wasn't necessarily created in Russia. It was a day that has been around as a day of celebration for the workers' rights for an awful long time. An awful long time. And in our country, it exercises the ability to commend and celebrate the rights of workers. May Day is a big celebration, but we've sort of lost the way of this celebration. And like in downtown Los Angeles and other cities, all they want to do is whine and cry about Donald Trump, which is so silly because this first 100 days has been monumentally successful, more than any other president. And if you do study President Andrew Jackson, you will come to the same idea, I think, that I've come to when I studied him a long time ago, that he was a pretty darn good president, Andrew Jackson. And the statement that Trump made today about saying that if Andrew Jackson had come along a little bit later, we probably wouldn't have had the Civil War. I never quite thought about it like that, but yeah, I think that that could have possibly been a direction the country would have gone in, because Andrew Jackson was a real strong guy. Not only did he double the size of America, but he also did not allow the centralization of our monetary system. And they tried to kill him 6 times, and he didn't die because they wanted a centralized economic system like they have now in the Federal Reserve. And he was a Jeffersonian, and a Jeffersonian was against a centralized banking system like they have in Europe and England under the Rothschild understanding. And they didn't want that in this country because in the Constitution, Declaration of Independence, Jefferson wrote, of course, once a nation, actually this was in the Federalist Papers, once a nation gives up its monetary system under a central banking understanding, you start to lose liberty. And that's very true. And if you think about where we were prior to the Civil War and during Abraham Lincoln and where we are today, we have lost lots of liberties, but just don't know it. So May Day, May 5th, is a pretty good celebration. It's a traditional celebration that's been around for a long, long, long time. Traditionally, it was celebrated on May 1st, but we've changed it to different parts of May in terms of the celebrations of May in the month of its entirety. So today being May 1st, it was an ancient Northern Hemisphere spring festival, the end of the bringing on of spring and into summer. That's the traditional aspect of May Day, but now we treat it as International Workers' Day. That's why the communists have taken that, because in communism, it's all workers for the collective. Of course, we know that socialism and communism and fascism, like they had in Italy under Mussolini, in World War II doesn't work. And neither does pure democracy, because it failed during the ancient Greek times. What works is a republic based on democratic ideals under God. And that's what America was based on. Real simple stuff. So that's what May Day's about. Not out there protesting, wasting time and energy on immigration. I guess I don't think people quite get it. It has nothing to do with getting rid of people that aren't criminals. It has to do with getting rid of the people who are killing people. If you were a mother or a father of somebody that died at the hands of an illegal immigrant, wouldn't you be upset? And if that illegal immigrant had been deported and came back and was a criminal, beyond the criminal activity of coming to this country illegally from wherever, wouldn't you be upset? Walk in the shoes of somebody else before you make a judgment, because that's what this is all about, protecting Americans against people who want to hurt us and getting rid of those people who are here that are hurting us, and finding a way in which that those that are good people, keeping them here or allowing them to go and come back quickly. That's really a simple concept, and I don't think people get it. I was real disappointed about this budget, this temporary budget, not having anything in there for the wall. The wall needs to be built. Simple. We should use CHAPA's $14 billion to do that. We've got it, so we should use it. That would be, I think, almost just pay for the whole thing. Can you believe it that this drug-running, low-life cartel killer amassed a wealth of $14 billion on the death of others? Unbelievable. And the horrific killing machine that he had, I mean, chopping the heads off and burning people alive in Mexico, just terrible. So, yeah, we need to build a wall. Even though most of the immigrants aren't Mexicans anymore, illegal immigrants, they're staying home because they got the idea. It ain't free no more. Most of them are people coming from the Middle East and Asia. That's the largest population of illegal immigrants coming across the borders now. Not Central Americans or Mexicans. They got the idea. So we're being infiltrated still, and we need to do something about it. Otherwise, we're not going to have May Days like we have, International Workers' Day. That's a celebration of your right to work in this great country and the ability to work like nowhere else in the world. Not protesting some benign foonaniness out there in the middle of the streets. Unbelievable how twisted people are. It's a real simple concept. You want to stay safe? You should be able to arm yourself. You want to keep your country safe? We should be able to protect itself. It's just that simple. It shouldn't be any more complicated than that. So, as we cover a couple more things here, as the time starts to run out on us, and I just want to cover a couple more things real quick. We're going to be out at a couple things at the Greystone Manor. That was the Great Doheny Manor. When Doheny owned all of Beverly Hills, like about 4,000 or 5,000 acres. The Doheny Manor, they have what's called a Concours d'Elegance every year, and all the great cars come out. I mean, vintage cars. Jay Leno's out there all the time with some of his cars, and those kind of cars that are there. And we're going to be covering that. Dan the Man and I are going to be going out there on Sunday, so we'll be bringing that to you live on Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. And on the 3rd, we're going to be at the Softail Hotel right after the show for the grand reopening of their lounge and patio lounge. Lots of stars are going to show up, lots of celebs and VIPs, so we're going to be covering the red carpet there, so you can catch that on Facebook.com/Jesse Terrero. As well as the rest of the week, we got lots of good things to cover here on the Power of Voices and AVTV Live and the Digital Broadcasting Network. You can check us out at thepowervoices.com, YouTube Live, The Power of Voices, and catch all of the archived shows that are there. And there must be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of shows now of all the live programming that's coming on board and fast here. We've got quite an eclectic group of people, but nobody quite like me, Jesse T. Yes, sirree, you just entered my world and the world according to Torero, of course, and now you're straight on the point. I love wrestling. I just love wrestling, and I used to love midget wrestling. I loved it. Now, I know I just got a whole bunch of midgets pissed off at me because I'm calling them midgets, but they were called midget wrestlers. That's what they were called at the Olympic Auditorium. The classy Freddie Blassie and Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, these were like the giants. And even Lee knows a guy that was buried in a piano case. What was his name? Hicksaw? What was his name? Hillbilly Hacksaw? Or something like that. I mean, the old-time wrestlers. But right in the middle of every show, when my dad and I would go to watch the Olympic wrestling and roller derby and boxing, because that's what they had at the Olympic Auditorium. We would go there and we'd watch the wrestlers, and right in the middle of the show, the music would start, and all of a sudden, the midgets would come out from every direction and jumping and flying. It was like Cirque du Circus. They were just flying everywhere through the air, man. It was like midget missiles. They were so fast and so strong. Yes, I know they're supposed to be called little people. I'm sorry, but they were called midgets then. It was midget wrestling, and it was the best. And I just loved it. And later on in my life, I ran into a power lifter when I first started lifting weights, and he was known as Midget Man. The guy was a short guy, but man, he was strong. I mean, the guy weighed about maybe 105 pounds, but he could lift almost 400 pounds on the bench press. Perfect bench press. He was a world record holder, and God, he was strong. And I used to like to wrestle him. We go to Mid-Valley YMCA. I would go wrestle him and find a mat and put it in the basketball gym and go. And you know something? That sucker would beat me every time. And I wrestled in junior high school, in high school and college, but that sucker would beat me every time. Oh, man. Anyhow, I don't know why I got on that tip, but I did. And because a reason why, because I love the WWE. I just love it, even though it's all fake. It's not fake. We had RVD, our Rod Van Dam, RVD in here, the TLC Unleashed show. She brought RVD in. He's probably going to be in the Hall of Fame like last week or a week or so ago. I mean, he talked about the injuries that these men and women get on their bodies. It's like they've been beat up in a ring from Mayweather or Tyson. It's unbelievable. But they had the WWE results from Payback 2017, and there's a new guy out there. His name is Strowman. Strowman, man. This guy, Braun Strowman. He's like, 97 feet tall and 5,000 pounds. I mean, the guy's just huge. I mean, I'd hate to meet that guy. I'd hate to meet that guy anywhere. I'd have to run him over with a D9 tractor. That guy's like huge. Anyway, so much for that. So tomorrow we're going to be back with you Monday through Friday right here from 5 to 6 on the Jesse T Show. It's good to have you along with us. Always check it out on Facebook.com/Jesse Torero. Instagram Live saying hi to the Roger Rabbit and a networker on Wheels and Beach Mantis and iRadio Coach. Hey, that's the great Lee Michaels. And the something whatever that means. Michelle Tripoli, Cy Richardson, great actor. I love you, Cy. Angela Capri, Jeff Langton, part of the crew when he's in town. Yeah, the Jolton J, check him out. Martin Aguirre, and everybody. Hey, the Brown Beauty is off duty. See ya! Boom! Whew!